All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're unpacking the absolutely harrowing family story of author Claudia Reid. As she tells it, this isn't just a story of a tough childhood. No, this is about a deep-seated trauma, exploitation, and what she truly believes is a generational curse that stretches all the way from Jamaica in the early 1900s to modern-day America. And she kicks things off with this statement. I mean, wow. I have known since the day I was born that I did not belong to this family, handed to demons who wore human skin. That feeling of just complete alienation is really the key to her entire story. It sets the stage for everything that follows, this lifelong feeling of being an outsider in her own home. So you have to ask, right, what could possibly make a child feel that way about their own family? Well, according to the author, the answer is incredibly complicated. And it's a story that she says started long, long before she was ever born. To really get it, her story takes us back in time. We have to go to a small town in Jamaica that she calls Lucyland, because it's right here, she believes, that a generational curse first put down its roots. So, according to the author, the whole thing starts right here, in 1928, with a piece of stolen land. She claims this one act of deceit essentially poisoned the entire family line. Fast forward a few decades, and her mother, Nancy, is born into this family. And then, in 1969, the author herself is born in America, not, as she sees it, as a child to be loved, but as a key, a tool to get her parents a green card. Now, at the very heart of this generational curse is the matriarch, Mable Mason, a woman the author gives the nickname Bloody Mable. She's painted as this master manipulator, a grifter who didn't just scam strangers, but allegedly used her own children like pawns for her own financial gain. And you can see how this alleged curse played out on Mabel's own children. The author describes this pattern of just absolute tragedy. Violent deaths, fatal heart attacks during fights over that same cursed piece of land, lives just cut short by neglect. Out of all the siblings tied to what she calls the poisoned land, only one managed to survive, her mother, Nancy. So the big question is, how did Nancy survive when so many of her brothers and sisters didn't? Well, the author's explanation for this isn't psychological. It's supernatural. She claims her mother had a dark guardian, an entity she decided to call Finsta. She actually names this thing Finsta. And in her telling, Finsta is this ancestral demon that was basically born from the family's original sins, like that stolen land. And its job was twofold. First, to protect one chosen member of the family, letting them get ahead in life, while at the same time tormenting the others to pay off some kind of karmic debt. But according to the author, Finsta wasn't just some invisible bodyguard. No, it was actively feeding these specific traits in her mother. It allegedly turned Nancy into a vessel for the family's dysfunction, basically molding her into a carbon copy of her own mother, Mable, and making sure that curse kept right on going. Okay, so this is where all that spiritual stuff crashes into the real world. Hard. The author connects this whole framework of demons and curses directly to the trauma that defined her childhood. In her story, she was the one who was chosen to pay this ancestral debt. Right from the moment she was born, the author says she felt like her entire existence was just a transaction. She wasn't a daughter to be loved. She was an asset. An American baby whose citizenship could be used to keep her parents in the country. And this feeling became the bedrock for a lifetime of feeling used. 11. Just let that number sink in for a second. According to the author, that's how many years she endured the most intense, relentless childhood abuse. A period from her birth in 1969 all the way to 1980, where she felt like she was paying for sins that she never even committed. And that payment she talks about, well, she describes it in absolutely horrific detail. She alleges there was sexual, physical, and emotional abuse, all while her parents just looked the other way. She even claims her very identity, her social security number and passport, was sold. Her childhood was basically erased and replaced with forced labor, becoming what she calls a babysitting slave for her younger siblings. And this really captures the insane reality she says she lived in, this total whiplash between the public face of the family and the private torment. In public, she recalls this big performance of affection, this love bombing, to show everyone what a happy family they were. But the second they got home, she says, the cruelty and the name-calling would start right back up. But this story doesn't just end with her as a victim. The whole narrative takes a sharp turn right here, for the final act. This is about her conscious fight to take her life back, and in her mind, to break this generational curse for good. So for the author, writing her story is way more than just therapy. She sees it as a spiritual act of war. By dragging all these secrets out into the light, she believes she is literally wielding a weapon against the darkness that has defined her family for 100 years. And here, she says, is the real turning point. A huge step in this battle was to identify and name the entity that she believes was tormenting her. You know, in a lot of old stories, to name something is to gain power over it. And the result of naming it and exposing it all, well, in her account, it was immediate. She describes feeling the demon, Finsta, literally lift off of her. She believes that by refusing to carry the family's secret trauma anymore, she's starved it of its power and forced it to run. And that leaves us with this final, chilling thought from the author. With the demon gone, she believes the protection it gave her family is gone too. And what comes next, in her view, is a spiritual reckoning. It's a really provocative way to end her story, and it leaves you wondering about consequences, belief, and the incredible power of a family's darkest secrets.